Welcome back into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. Power rankings set to come. We'll have power rankings in the future, playoff picture videos, playoff projections. We're going to be your one-stop shop for everything on that front. So if you enjoy it, if you want to know what's going on, hit that sub button and join the ever-growing Chat Sports community right now. Worst to first, AP poll style in the power rankings as always, and the New York Giants drop a spot. They are now last in our NFL power rankings, and not maybe a huge surprise at all. They beat Arizona head-to-head, but they don't have Daniel Jones, Tommy DeVito. They got crushed last week. I don't know if they're going to win a football game again this year. They probably wouldn't have won, maybe. But it is in dire straits in New York. They're decimated by injuries, and they're just not playing that well either. So will the Giants win another game this year? A for yes or B for no? And B stands for bottoming out and getting the number one overall pick. Number 31, the Panthers. Yeah, that's how bad the Giants looked, is that the Panthers managed to jump them very narrowly, by the way, as I look at the AP poll. It is not a consensus. One spot, basically, difference there. So a lot of 32s, 31s here. Carolina's coaching staff, Frank Reich's public comments this week. Oh, you're not sure who your play caller is? Or change it once? Really? That's a bad sign. The Patriots continue a downward slide. The Mac Jones era seems to be nearing its end. It has not been very good. He can be a backup somewhere. But they're 30th. And the Bears at number 29 on this list. Maybe Justin Fields is back this week at some point. He has to get back out there so they can eval him because they're going to have a top 5 pick probably because of Carolina, if not 2 top 5 picks. Arizona at number 28. Kyler Murray comes back. They take down Atlanta. It was a very strong quality effort out of Murray, to lead them downfield, get the win. I am curious to see how Arizona plays the rest of the season, but it should be a fascinating matchup here. Or performance, I should say, out of Arizona down the stretch. Can they show enough to take themselves out of quarterback range? The Packers at number 20. So there was a point I'm like, maybe Green Bay can make a playoff run. Well, now they're 3-6 and trending in the very, very wrong direction, and there's just not a lot of confidence right now in this team. Now, the next couple teams, the next 2, maybe 3 here, kind of tightly compacted. Number 26, the Tennessee Titans. It's all about evaluating Will Levis. The AFC is loaded, and with 6 losses, even if Tennessee wins out, I don't know if they make the playoffs. That's how loaded the AFC is this year. It would come down to a tiebreaker in that scenario, because I think you're going to need 11 to get in this year. 10 means you might lose a tiebreaker. Tennessee at number 26. Folks, do me a favor and shout out your favorite team in the comments. We'll make this the pinned comment, a chance for you guys to rep your squad down there. Talk some respectful trash if you need to. Head down to that pinned comment if the ad comes here on YouTube. Take advantage of it and let me know. The Commanders at number 25. Again, not much of a real difference here between them and the next 2 teams, I'll say. The Commanders there at number 25. And the Rams at number 24. This was the tightly compact section here to an extent. The Rams, Stafford's getting back. 3-6. They're not out of the playoff race, and a not so good NFC, but they got to start winning games, and more likely they finish maybe around 500. How about the suddenly hot Denver Broncos, by the way? They are number 23 on this list. Bit of a tier gap coming up here after this team. They keep finding ways to squeak out games. Maybe they shouldn't. Some nice quality wins over Chiefs and Buffalo. At 4-5, they are not out of the playoff hunt quite yet. They might even be able to get the number 2 spot in the AFC West, which may or may not get them in. All right, Indy also kind of sneakily along it. 5-5. They'd be like a game back in the NFC, and they're seemingly multiple games back in the AFC. It's kind of crazy. They're not actually, but that's how it feels. The Colts at number 22. Gardner Minshew. I like what Shane Steichen's doing. Doing a really good job up there. The Raiders are rising up our power rankings, and who can blame them? They've won back-to-back games. Antonio Pierce is a clear favorite over Josh McDaniels. And if McDaniels ever gets hired again in the NFL, that ownership needs to be dissolved, at least as a head coach. The Falcons at 20. We got to go back to Desmond Ridder now. Got to do it. Taylor Heineke, he's not it. The offense is just kind of weirdly disjointed. It's been weird. It's been weird in Atlanta. They're also still not that far out of the division race. They're still in the mix, along with the Bucs at number 19 on our list. I will make note, by the way, in these rankings, there's a gap coming here after this team at number 18, which we'll get to here in just a moment. But today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. It is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You're picking 2 to 6 player stat projections across a wide variety of sports, or you can just do NFL if you want to, or college football, whatever. And then you get the picks right and watch your winnings roll in. It makes your game watching experience more fun. You can watch your progress update in real time, and up to 25 times your entry amount. You can cash out your winnings with quick scoring, settling, and withdrawals as well. Here are my picks this week. Now, I'm on a heater. 5 in a row we've hit, at least with the flex play, which is why I love it, because I just got to get 2 out of 3 right. I'm feeling more than C.J. Stroud passing yards and more than Sam Howell passing yards. Like those matchups, both quarterbacks air it out a lot. And give me more than CeeDee Lamb receiving yards, because he keeps getting fed as he should be in the Cowboys offense. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. That's prizepicks.com/CLNS. The next 2 teams kind of comfortably in their spots across the different rankings. A lot of, not consensus, but similar votings. The Jets at number 18 and the Saints at number 17. New Orleans is the favorite to win the NFC South, and the Jets' defense is good, but their offense is not, and maybe Rodgers can come back and make a miracle push for the playoff stretch. 2 teams, both around 15 in our rankings, very similarly ranked here. Again, some more consensus viewpoints. The Chargers at 16. They're not a bad team, but they only lose close games. They've had an unbelievable amount of, I almost call it bad luck in close contests. And the Vikings, the Joshua Dobbs story is awesome. Look, the Vikings are probably going to be your 7 seed in the NFC because they're at least a game up over the Bucs right now. They have the Saints tiebreaker if they need it come wild card. The Saints don't win the division. The Vikings they're probably going to be a playoff team with that 7 seed, with some gapping between the 6 seed, 7 seed, and wild card. All right, these next 3 teams, very closely ranked, and understandably so. The Buffalo Bills at number 14 on our list. At 5-5, in a loaded AFC, with a schedule that is daunting, it is going to be very hard for them to make the playoffs this year. In fact, it might be damn near impossible unless Josh Allen goes Super Saiyan without the bad turnovers. The Bills are in a very rough spot, and that might put Sean McDermott on the hot seat. So what is your panic level over the Bills? Scale it from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. How about the Houston Texans at 13? I am in on this team. They were actually 12 for me on my rankings at 5-4. Their schedule, it's the opposite of Buffalo. They already have the head-to-toe over the Bengals, which the Bills don't, and their schedule is easy. They play a handful of potential playoff teams down the stretch this year. They should win 11 games just because they're going to be favored in all those games. Their schedule is easy. I think Houston's making the playoffs this year. I would be surprised if they did not, at least as the 7 seed. With as easy as their schedule is and the way C.J. Stroud is playing, what D'Amico Ryan's done as the head coach in 1 year, I think this team's playoff bound. So will Houston make the playoffs? Y for yes, N for no. Get those votes in for me in the comment section right now. Pittsburgh has been outgained in every game they've won this year. How does that happen? That is unbelievable, and frankly, it's probably unsustainable. I am not sold on them though they could be a playoff team. I'm not sold on them as a threat. All right, now for some more tier gapping. The next 4 teams, all pretty close to each other, with some decent enough differentiation, with Seattle clearly at number 11 in our rankings. They're going to be a playoff team. They're 6-3. I like the way they're heading. The Bengals are 10, and they're as high as 5 on some of the rankings, and some people had them out to the top 10, which I was surprised by, to be in the top 5. Their schedule's not easy. Now, they set themselves up for failure. They're playing better than they were at the beginning of the year, but this is what happens when you drop 3 games early, because you just don't start the year off well. You're playing behind the 8 ball again in a very, very tough AFC. Jacksonville is number 9. Yeah, that game against the Niners was not very good. They're still 6-3. I think they're still a good football team, and if Trevor Lawrence and the offense can just click a little bit better, they'll be trending up in the right direction. The Browns jumped to 8. Again, there are tier gaps here between 8 and 7. The defense is awesome. They were also as low as 15 on our rankings, and almost everyone else had them in the top 10. The defense is great. The offense was better against the Ravens second half. They shouldn't have won that game when they did. It's a mark of a good football team. The next 2 teams are fittingly compacted together. We'll go on both at the same time. Dallas Cowboys at number 7, and the Miami Dolphins at number 6. And the Cowboys' defense is way better than the Dolphins' defense. Dolphins' offense is probably better because they've got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Oh, my God. Both these teams have similar complaints about them. Hey, they've taken care of business against the teams they're supposed to for the most part, but they have not stepped up in their 2 biggest games of the year. Chance to beat a great opponent, and they could not get it done. That's going to have to change. And down the stretch, they'll play each other. So one of them will get a quality win against the other, barring some tie bullshit. And they'll get other chances as well. But they're both teams that they're on. You don't want to play them come playoff time. Number 5, the Baltimore Ravens. They only lose weird games. I think every game that they've lost, they've had like an 85% chance of winning the last 2 years or something. Or at least this year. They've been up and then they've found a way to kind of collapse and blow it there. The Ravens barely behind the top 4, which we'll get to here in a moment. But who do you think wins the Super Bowl this year? Where this is clearly these top, I'd say top 7-ish, or your real Super Bowl contenders, unless one of those bottom tier teams can take a step, not bottom, but bottom 10 teams, take a big time step forward. Who wins Super Bowl this year? Go vote in the comments. The Niners at 4, they have calmed the nerves with a blowout win on the road against Jacksonville, as high as 2. No one had them lower than number 5. The Lions at number 3. They have had some awesome games this year, and that Chargers game was still. It was a damn shame, by the way, that wasn't the national game of the week, and instead you had to watch Cowboys-Giants, which they cut away from, because of course they did. It was a dumpster fire performance. Someone had the Lions at 7. It didn't matter that they were not going to be in the top 2, but everyone else had them top 5, and most had them at 3. At number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs. No one had them lower than 3. They were barely behind the 2 spot. And unanimously, at number 1, as it should be, the Philadelphia Eagles. They get their gauntlet of a schedule coming up now. We'll get a good feel for how great this team really is, but they're great no matter what. It's a matter of tiering it. They are correctly undisputed number 1 this week, as far as I'm concerned, in the Chat Sports NFL Power Rankings.